think as a musician and as an artist, giving somebody a temporary escape from reality and almost having them be overwhelmed with the same type of feeling that you had when you created that piece of art, I feel like that's the ultimate goal, the crowning achievement of being an artist to me.
I guess to explain the last year, we'd have to start with Rapture. In 2019, the band released the album Rapture, which was the first record that I played on. Well, when you release an album and you do a cycle, you plan on getting more than 6 months out of that album cycle. And unfortunately, because of what happened with the world, that's all we really got out of it.
Did like a cycle on that, and then in early 2020, the COVID-19 pandemic hit, and that kind of put a damper on everything we were doing.
All shows got canceled. We didn't really have a chance to practice, just taking it easy, trying to make sure everything's safe.
I was gonna say it put the music business on hold, but it put everything on hold.
We were in lockdown, and the four of us just weren't in the same room together because it just wasn't safe to be. Rapture was a concept album of sorts about things that were very personal, but it was also allegorically a story about someone navigating a rapture, post-apocalyptic type situation. Rocky had this idea, what comes after the rapture, and what do you do theoretically? You're in this situation where everything around you just seems hopeless. Well, that I feel like would be a time of redemption and atonement. And so that kind of became the theme subconsciously for the next phase of songs that we wrote. Throughout the course of 2020, it was just this intense time of uncertainty.
And we were just kind of feeling trapped. I think everybody was at that time. And so I wanted to write a song almost like something with me saying hello from a distance, that I'm still thinking about you. You're still on my mind, even though we can't get to each other. And I kept imagining a light in my head and a window. And to me, that was the hello from a distance. Like if you drive by the house, you'll see that candle or that light. And it's just a hello. It's like I'm still thinking of you. We all needed that in the time that we went through. Myself, I love playing shows. I love getting out and doing things, and I couldn't do that. And, I missed playing music for people. So I really wanted this song to be a hello to anybody that I haven't seen in a while, just to let somebody know I'm thinking about them and they're not alone.
It had this kind of haunting groove to it, and something about it instantly struck me, and I said, this could be a really big song.
We took an approach this time, as opposed to just writing a bunch and narrowing it down to an EP or an album. We're wanting to just focus on one song at a time, but try to keep them where there's a central theme, and Leave a Light On kind of set the tone for that.
We kind of got it as far as we could take it, and then of course we went to Dave Cowell, who is our producer at Supernova Sound here in Memphis.
And he had recently moved into a brand new studio, and the four of us didn't even get in the same room together to discuss these songs until it was time to actually go into the studio.
It would make sense to touch on a little bit of like what we had done before, which was, when we got into the Rapture EP, we went through a lot of pre-production and stuff, and like co-writes and just kind of like refining that material a little bit at the house before we even started. And I can see like a big progression in the band and the quality of the writing and where everything's at right now. Like I don't feel like on my end, when meeting a standard to where everything needs to be, like I don't feel like I was nearly as heavy-handed on the pre-production side of things, because it seemed like the band kind of progressed naturally and started bringing some cool ideas that I won't say leaps and bounds more, because it's not like everything hasn't been great up until this point, but it's like there's an obvious progression in the writing and then the experimentation in the parts and stuff. It was enjoyable for me to be able to listen to some demos before we got started, like with Leave the Light On being the first one. Really only hearing a few chord changes and things like that, and like some obvious stuff with lyrics that we always end up messing with anyways. Just feels like it's progressing a lot. The band is hitting a new stride, and it feels like Rapture kind of started a new sound for the band, and this is like an expansion on that. We're kind of diving deeper into what made Rapture cool and kind of expanding on that in different ways. That one was immediately cool because, you know, like looking at the subject of it and what it's kind of talking to and touching on, like we're all of us right now are kind of dealing with that feeling of isolation and feeling separated from people that we love. It's kind of eerie, like the narrative that it takes, but it's something I feel like everybody can kind of relate to right now.
So we get to the recording process, they go in, they lay all their stuff down, comes my day, and about a day or so before I was like, so how's everything going? It's like, oh yeah, we changed about everything in the song. So everything I had learned and figured out, I was like, ooh, I got pretty parts for this, I think I can do this. Yeah, that's all out the window. So I go in, relearn the song in one night, and lay it down. Quite possibly Leave a Light On is the best bass line I've laid down so far since I've been in Roses. Moves around the guitars, has a good time with it. It's not overly complicated, doesn't get in the way, I don't think. Hope not. And it sounds good. Pretty happy with that one.
There was just this whole vibe the entire time we were working on that song that was pretty heavy, but in a cool way. Working on the music all that week with John was cool for us because, you know, it just gave us another chance to just get together and collaborate.
There's a meaning that's kind of on the surface, and the song's about loneliness, the song's about not being able to get back to your loved one, not being able to get home for whatever reason. But there's also a side story of this character from this concept that we've dreamed up who's trying to get back home, and they're in a lockdown situation, which very 2020 of us, I guess, to write a song in that type of style or that sort of theme.
And when Allison came in and to start getting the vocals put in there, it just took a whole different shape.
So the funny thing about Leave a Light On is I really didn't like the song at first, and I can't tell you why. There was just something about it that I felt was missing, and I couldn't pinpoint on exactly what that was. But the guys really liked the song. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna try to give it a chance, even though there's something about it that's just kind of not there. It's a good song. I was like, it's a good song. There's just something missing. I saw how much they believed in it, and I didn't want to just give up on it. I don't know, it was just like an ongoing process, and I'm thinking the whole time, what can I do to make this song better for me? And I think I was just overthinking it because the song was pretty much right where it was, and it didn't really need anything else. I just wasn't seeing the big picture. And normally I'm pretty good about seeing the big picture of songs, but with this one it was just kind of, something's just not there. So like I said, the guys loved it, so I'm like, okay, I'm gonna believe in it too. You know, things can change when we take it to the actual studio, and they did. When we took it in the actual studio, our producer, Dave Cow, he did an amazing job with it, and he put like just the right touch it needed, and now I like love the song. It's really a great song. It's an emotional song, and I look back and I'm like, why didn't I believe in this song before? You know, it's just me second guessing myself, but it really is a beautiful song.
Then the next song was just this banger that we just happened to put together one night. Creatures is probably, I would say it's probably one of the coolest things I've ever been a part of writing. And I really just had to become a better guitar player over the course of 2020 and the first part of 2021, because I just never have felt comfortable just staying in the same place. And I've always felt like we just have I get in these ruts with my playing and my songwriting. And, you know, as bad as the pandemic was for a majority of people, for me, it really forced me to stay within the four walls that I was forced to stay within and kind of be alone with my thoughts and my instruments, and really just lock down and practice and really understand songwriting and guitar playing more, and be more conscious of what makes things click musically. I think Creatures was a good showcase of our maturity as a band. And again, like, the bass line was set with the Rapture EP and those songs are great, and we're all very proud of them. But then this Leave a Light On and Creatures, it is kind of elevated that, and it's more about just writing something that sounds cool. It's about writing things that really evoke deep emotional responses, both within you as the player, you as the writer, and with whoever's going to be listening to it. And this pandemic kind of unified us in the sense that we didn't know what was going to happen next.
That's one of the hardest things for us to do. It's how can you make lightning strike the same place, not only twice, but what about 3 times, 4 times, 5 times? So whenever you put out something and you go, this is the best thing we've ever done, well, then you've got to do better the next go around. So Rapture set a really high bar that was different than anything the band had ever done. It's arguably some of the best stuff the band had ever done. So we wanted to make sure whatever comes next can at least match, if not exceed.
Yeah, this newer one, Creatures, I feel like getting back into that heavy, like high octane, you know, full steam ahead sound like Rapture itself kind of had. But I feel like this riff bounces even more and has a little bit more of like a cool pickup groove to it. And I feel like the tones, we were able to try new things and get even more aggressive, which I was always really happy with how aggressive we got Rapture sounding. But I think this is, you know, a step further in that direction. I just feel like all week, you know, we've all just kind of stopped at numerous times and said, like, holy crap, this is huge.
The recording process for my part ended up being a little bit more horrible because every chance I had to go, something else happened. Either snowstorm hit, or car problems, or something else in life just had to happen. The day I was supposed to go, there was ice storm warnings and everything else, so I was like, well, safe than sorry, I stayed home. The Saturday that I was going to go, the Saturday evening I was going to go, as soon as I left, I got gas, and then my engine started sputtering and ended up having bad gas. So that took me a little bit to get fixed up, and ended up not getting to go because it was way too late. So after a week or so of trying to figure out when, I finally got to go record. As always with Dave, it's always fun. Except for, of course, as always, they change everything up, and I have to relearn half the stuff because, well, they hate the bass player. This is a recurring theme.
Sometimes I get a little too poetic in my head, so I have to kind of break it down where the listener understands what I'm trying to convey and say. So that's what Dave and I did. We broke it down, like, what are you really trying to say here, Allison? And when we did that and we sat down, we changed a few things, and it totally molded the song into something to enhance the meaning and bring it to life. And I love the song. It's one of my favorites I've ever written, and I cannot wait to play it live. And I think it's because I connect with it so much. The song is about the world we live in and how it's kind of crazy. And we kind of sometimes have to put on this, I wouldn't say fake face, but we have to numb ourselves to allow ourselves to get out and live, because the world's a scary place sometimes. I feel like in a way we have to numb ourselves to get through each day. We can't live our lives scared, but in the same sense, we have to still live, and we still have to feel alive to get us through the day. So there's this balance that I'm trying to find where I don't numb myself and I'm still living, but I'm not scared to live. I have to be cautious. I have to watch my surroundings, but you know, I'm not gonna just shut down and not come out of my shell because I'm scared of something. So I think that's everybody trying to find a balance with living in this crazy world, still trying to be yourself. This song allowed me to really dig deep inside and find what I felt like maybe I was missing. And I just love the song, and I can't wait for everybody to hear it, and I hope everybody loves it as much as I do. It's kind of different. It's my baby because it started off with it. It was kind of my idea, and that doesn't happen regularly. Usually John has a riff and then I put melody over it. This one was totally different. I brought it to him and he went with it, and I'm so glad he did because that song's really, really special.
I don't know how to feel sometimes because I listen back to some of these songs and I'm like, man, like I had a part of that, and I just think it's so surreal at times because I'm like, I can't believe that we were able to do that with the team that we have. I just consider myself fortunate to be surrounded by people who are passionate about music and passionate about writing, and we're all just, I mean, when it all comes down to it, we're all just best friends and we have a good time together, and we just enjoy, just have an equal love of music, and we just enjoy doing it. So I just can't, I just feel so blessed to be in the situation I am. And it's just one of those things where when something unexpected happens, like a pandemic, you have to just figure out a way how to make it work and kind of roll with the punches, I guess is the best way of putting it.
I just appreciate everybody sticking around through COVID, through everything, and allowing us to still be Roses Unread through all of it and accepting us for who we are. I love our fans more than words can say. And if you're watching and you're new, come join the family.
Come on. Come on.
Go. Get.
Come on. Mesa, come
Come
on up
on.
here.
Get.
Come on. Get in the house.
Get.
You can stop me anytime if you have an idea. If I'm letting you go back and say something else.
You're good. Is just talk about the last year. Tell me something compelling. Talk about the recording experience. Talk about getting through the first part of the pandemic. You know, something compelling, something interesting.
Something compelling and interesting about last year. Well,
Here. Don't you know? Right here. Duh. Right there.
drum beat from AC/DC.
What?
The same thing. 1, 4.
I write the drum parts and the bass parts and the guitar parts and a lot of the synth, and Allison helps me with that, and then Rocky and Jed come in and they're like, well, this is a cool song, but everything you wrote rhythmically is garbage, so we're gonna redo that. But that's, you know, that's the benefit of playing with people who are better than you at their respective craft. Let's go. Come on.
That's gonna be the like last part of the video.